In 2016, a 3-year-old boy visiting the zoo climbed under a fence into an outdoor gorilla enclosure. He was grabbed, dragged, and thrown by a male gorilla named Harambe. Fearing for the boy's life, a zoo worker shot and killed Harambe. Many primatologists and conservationists defended the use of lethal force, claiming the zoo had no other option. In the aftermath of Harambe's death, the silverback became the source of memes, with many internet users talking about a curse of Harambe and linking the gorilla's death to societal chaos. There was a question about who to blame for the tragedy, and a lot of people pointed the finger at the child's mother. How could she allow her child to enter the gorilla enclosure? Fast forward to 2025, and while most human mothers would never let their child enter a gorilla enclosure, they have no qualms about letting their child enter an internet brain rot insane asylum. Check out this brain rot YouTube short video, which has racked up over 3.1 million views. But you might say, it's just a cartoon. Cartoons have always been silly.
And another thing, stop breathing in my cup.
In 1964, Canadian communication theorist Marshall McLuhan coined the phrase, "The medium is the message." For McLuhan, it was the medium itself that shaped and controlled the scale and form of human association and action. 20 years later, Neil Postman touched on similar themes in his book, Amusing Ourselves to Death. Postman argued that contemporary society was reflected by Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, whose public was oppressed by their addiction to amusement. We've stripped our gorilla cartoons of their narrative structure, removed the dialogue, and condensed a 10-minute story into 20 seconds. As a result, the typical young person has the attention span of a housefly.
In terms of kids' ability to be prepared for the future and use a new technology, they seem really good at that.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, it's like if you just grow up with it, it's just like having kneecaps or whatever. You're just kind of used to it.
Human animals can get used to many conditions that aren't necessarily in their best interests. Dina Sanichar was discovered among wolves in a cave in India at the age of 6. Having grown used to living as a wolf, he never learned to speak and remained seriously impaired for his entire life. Primatologists made a similar discovery in 2025. A man named Dinesh Patel, who had watched nothing but TikTok videos for 6 years, was discovered near New Delhi. He had lost the ability to use human language.
It feels like our sense of purpose would start to really disappear.
There could be a very compelling version of two AIs talking like this.
I'm really nervous about AI.
Why nervous? Artificial intelligence is here to help.
I mean anal intruders.
Anal intruders? But AI won't steal your virginity. Only your data.
And I don't think I would want to watch that.
The ape man has historically used humor as a way to compete with rival men, to resolve conflict, and to attract women.
Did you hear about when Jeffrey Dahmer had his mom over for dinner?
There was a sexual part to that.
You know who Jeffrey Dahmer
Oh,
is,
yeah,
right?
yeah, the dangerous man.
I started saving the skeletons.
Yeah, you heard about when he had his mom over for dinner?
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
Yeah, well, he had his mom over for dinner, and his mom said, Jeffrey, I just don't care for these friends of yours. And Jeffrey said, that's okay, Mom, try the vegetables.
People talk about the most personal shit in their lives to Chat GPT.
And I acted on my fantasies, and that's where everything went wrong. And I met this guy at one of the bars, downtown Milwaukee bars. We went back to the hotel. When I woke up in the morning, my forearms were bruised. I have no memory of beating him to death, but I must have.
And right now, if you talk to a therapist or a lawyer...
I've been told that one of them killed another man by crushing his head with an ATM machine.
Or a doctor about those problems, there's legal privilege for it.
Yeah, the guy who got his head smushed used to be a client of mine.
So if you go talk to ChatGPT about your most sensitive stuff, and then there's a lawsuit or whatever, we could be required to produce that.
In recent years, Many ape men who had grown up in an era before ubiquitous camera phones and recording devices have been cancelled for their use of racial slurs. Mel Gibson, Joe Rogan, Kramer, this one black rapper out of Memphis who performs under the moniker Wheezy Sheezy, all of them have had to endure controversy. And even after his death, the American wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has been attacked for using a naughty word almost 20 years ago.
Probably the first white guy ever in the longshoremen using here in Tampa.
Oh, wow.
Then
Is it mostly Latinos?
After years of head trauma, the Hulkster has to pause to make sure he uses the appropriate nomenclature. Where am I? At a 1980s Florida bar with my wrestling mates? No, I'm on a popular podcast in front of several video cameras. In the year 2023.
Latinos and blacks, yeah. And so then I learned how to.
I get scared sometimes to use certain AI stuff because
The race didn't matter to me. The first two young men were white. The third young man was American Indian. The fourth and fifth were Hispanic. Race had nothing to do with it. It was just their looks.
I don't know how much personal information I want to put in because I don't.
Black kids, people have asked me if I've ever used the N-word.
Yeah.
And I have to admit I have.
Yeah, I've used it.
No, I used it when I quote Ali.
Oh, wow.
I quote Muhammad Ali, and he used it. So if he can use it, I can quote him.
Yeah. That's fair.
And he said it about the Viet Cong. Remember, he said, no, Viet Cong never called me.
Oh, wow.
Man need a brother who got a little bit of lizard on him, got a little drag.
Dude, we just had a guy come in here and drop the N-word, man. We cannot be laughing about this shit right now.
Oh, I don't think that shit's funny at all. What I do is if I really need to get it out, I write it down.
What the
Do you talk to Chat GPT?
I don't talk to it that much.
Theo gets out of his chair like a suspect, desperate to flee an interrogation room.
Because of this.
I think it is. It's because it's like.
I think it makes sense.
The dark tech lord admits it makes sense to be paranoid about his product. Theo's paranoia worsens. His body has tightened. Make note of where Theo's hands are. This may be an indicator of shame. He is trying to protect himself from perceived judgment or exposure.
To not talk to ChatGPT because
No. To like really want the privacy clarity before you use it a lot.
There were AIs that would rather give you an answer that was.
The failure of Vietnamization to win popular support caused an ongoing erosion of confidence in the various American but illegal Saigon regimes.
Is she right?
Possibly pleasing to the user than to give them the factual answer.
Because I know that's the popular version of what went on there. And a lot of people like to believe that.
AIs that were developing some of their own languages to communicate with each other.
Iconic example is thinking about those scientists.
Science!
Working on the Manhattan Project in 1945. Something extraordinary that is going to reshape the course of human history.
Dear God, man.
The alternative man has spent the majority of the podcast attempting to assuage the concerns of the everyman Chat GPT user, Theo Von, but in what could be interpreted as a show of hubris or a slip of the mask, the AI man compares his creation to the Manhattan Project. Why? Because AI's jokes bomb.